Welcome back to the channel. I'm Joanna Kleinman, psychotherapist, transformational leadership coach, CEO of the Mastering Your Mind coaching and consulting company, and creator of the Mind Method. Now, before we dive into the neuroscience behind how to create your reality, I just want to invite you to slow down with me for just a moment because this is not about fixing anything or changing anything. I just want you to notice just this moment, what it feels like to be here, listening, breathing, existing, whatever you're doing. If you're out walking, or hopefully you're not watching this while you're driving a car. But today is about being here now, understanding why your current life is what it is, and why your current life doesn't mean what you think it means. So let's just start out with the fact that most of us wake up the same way every day without even realizing it. We wake up into the same thoughts. What's on my schedule today? And oh, did I forget to respond to that email? And oh, why did that conversation with that colleague still bother me from last week? And oh, why do I feel so dissatisfied in this area of my life? So before your feet even hit the floor, your mind is already scanning your current life, your responsibilities, your relationships, your worries, your unfinished business. So you are instantly inside of your circumstances. You're inside of your roles and who you've always been and the life that you've always been leading, and really inside what we could call the emotional weather of your life. And we assume that's reality. But consider for a moment, what if that's not reality? What if what you're waking up into every morning is actually not truth, but it's memory? Now, hear me out. What if the life you're looking at right now is, instead of showing you who you are, it's showing you who you've been? Because there is a delay between what happens inside of you and what shows up around you. So your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotional patterns, your automatic reactions, your choices from those automatic thoughts and beliefs and emotional patterns, they don't create your life instantly. They create your life over time. So your current reality is always the visible expression of your past inner life. Think about that for a minute. It's a snapshot of your previous identity, which means the life you're standing in right now really has nothing to do with your future. It's not a verdict or a prediction on how your future is going to go. It's really just evidence of your past. And that is because, and this is where we're getting to the neuroscience, your brain is not designed to show you what's possible. Your brain is designed to show you only what is familiar, because that's what's predictable. That's what your brain remembers. And your brain organizes your perception, literally what you see gets organized around what your brain already knows about how to keep things status quo. So when you wake up and your mind goes straight to stress or anticipation or worry or pressure or even comfort, that isn't because today actually demands that response. It's because your nervous system is replaying an old, conditioned, automatic identity. So your brain is not looking at who you are today and what your life is today, because your brain doesn't care about possibility. It only cares about what it knows. So it answers with who you were yesterday. It mirrors to you who you were yesterday and what has always felt emotionally predictable, right? It's what your nervous system already knows how to manage. So when we talk about creating your reality, it's not mystical. It's really neurological. Your life is not created in the moment that you're looking at it. Your current life was created in the moments when you believed something about yourself, when you believed something about love, when you believed something about another person, when you believed something about what was going to keep you emotionally safe, when you looked at a circumstance and had an automatic story and meaning that you assigned to that circumstance that you didn't even know you assigned. And then you've lived from all of that, everything that made up that identity. You've lived from that identity long enough for it to become physical in reality now. So consider that what you're seeing right now is not truth, it's just evidence. Okay? Evidence of your past emotional patterns, your past self concepts, your past strategies like worry and overthinking and overfunctioning. Okay. Now, these patterns, this is where your inner critic self lives. So your inner critic looks at your life and says, this is who you are. This is what you can expect. This is how it works. But what it's really doing is mistaking what is just conditioned, automatic, patterned, autopilot memory for what is your destiny, which are two completely different things. Your circumstances don't define you. They're just reflecting who you've been. So if you have circumstances that you don't want and you don't like, that is literally just a reflection of who you've been being. And so the most powerful moment of your life is when you realize that right there means your whole future is still unwritten. And therefore, you don't need to force something into existence. And all that you really need to start doing right this moment is to stop living from what is no longer true about you. Now, in the mind method, we talk about two parts of the self. We talk about the inner critic self and the authentic self. And I want you to understand that your inner critic self is not bad. It is not broken. It is simply a survival identity that formed when you were a young child. Its job was to predict potential emotional threat and emotional danger and to avoid rejection and to keep you safe from any emotional pain. So it learned patterns. It learned how love was given or withheld. It learned how approval was earned. It learned what led to pain. It learned what led to safety. And it built a personality around those conclusions. Now, your authentic self is different. That part of you is not built from memory. It's not built from fear. It's not built from protection. It's built from presence. It's built from creativity. It's built from trust. It's built from aliveness. Now, this is the hard part because learning to trust what your authentic self is showing you over what your inner critic is saying about your current life, that doesn't feel natural because your inner critic is loud. Trust me, mine is too. Okay. It has a commentary about everything. What if this doesn't work? What if I'm wrong? What if I get hurt? What if I fail again? And it overthinks and analyzes and it needs proof and it needs guarantees and it needs certainty before it moves, which is why most people stay stuck. Now, creation doesn't come with evidence first. It comes with uncertainty first, which I know is uncomfortable. And your inner critic hates the unknown because the unknown means no control, no prediction, no safety through familiarity. So it keeps you looping in the same thoughts, the same beliefs, which create the same emotional reactions, which create the same nervous system patterns, which create the same behaviors, which then keep you looped into the same old thoughts, same old emotions, same old nervous system patterns, same old behaviors that leads to more thoughts. You can see it's a vicious cycle. That doesn't mean that all of that is right and true. It's just familiar, and familiar feels safe to the nervous system. Even if it's causing you pain, that feels right and true because you've been caught in this vicious loop for a really long time. Okay. And that loop gets reinforced by a part of your brain called the default mode network. Okay. So think of that part of your brain as your identity autopilot. Okay. That's the part of your brain that runs the inner critic's stories. This is who I am. This is how life works. This is what always happens. This is how you're supposed to do life. This is what you need to pay attention to. This is what you need to overthink. This is what you need to analyze. This is what you need to worry about. It's built almost entirely from the past. So when you wake up feeling anxiety or hesitation or doubt, it's not because there's something wrong. It's because your brain is replaying identity memory. It's just replaying that inner critic self. Okay. So your nervous system right now, when you are merged with that inner critic self, your nervous system is predicting today based on yesterday. And this is what people mean when they say your reality is delayed, right? Because, as I said before, your life is the visible result of those old emotional patterns, your old beliefs, your old reactions that maybe were once necessary, but now they're just holding you back. Okay. So reality is really just a historian. It only knows the past. Okay. Your inner critic creates consistency, right? Kind of same life, same, what's this at a hospital? Beep, dead, dead. Your authentic self creates possibility. This is possibility, right? This is possibility in a hospital. That's life. So now there's another system in your brain called the reticular activating system. Now that's the part of your brain that decides what you notice and what you ignore. So if your inner critic identity believes I'm not supported, your brain will find evidence and assign the meaning to circumstances and to people that you're not supported. If your inner critic identity says, nothing has ever worked out, your brain is going to find all of those times that things didn't work out, even though there have been countless times where things did work out. Your brain doesn't focus on that. So you can see that over time, that part of your brain has gathered a lot of evidence to support these old beliefs. And that's another reason why it feels so real. Now, your authentic self doesn't operate this way. Your authentic self, which I know for so many of you has been so hidden underneath this inner critic self that you don't even know what that authentic self feels like. But I'm going to tell you, it does not operate that way. It doesn't need proof to feel safe. It doesn't scan your life for threat. It organizes around presence, around curiosity, and around choices that are in alignment with what's possible, that are in alignment with your creativity, with your natural gifts, with your natural abilities, right? So every time you merge with your circumstances, you strengthen your inner critic identity. And when you strengthen your inner critic identity, you're not responding to life, you're just rehearsing your past. So creation from your authentic self begins When you know how to unhook from that inner critic, that's when you stop letting your old identity based on memory continue to interpret your reality as truth. Okay. Your circumstances, they're not wrong. There's nothing wrong. They're just outdated. They're the emotional memory of who you had to be to survive a long time ago. And you don't need to fight that version of you. You don't need to get rid of that version of you. You just need to understand how to stop letting that version of you drive your life moving forward. Okay. So when you stop merging with your inner critic, something profound happens neurologically. Your brain starts to form new predictions. Your nervous system starts to learn to relax and soften. Your perception opens and your identity starts to shift. You start responding to your circumstances from a different viewpoint, from a different perspective, with different thoughts, with different beliefs, with different emotions, with different choices. Okay. And it's not because you're trying to become someone new, but because you're no longer trapped in who you used to be. That's creation. That's personal growth, right? It doesn't happen through force. It doesn't happen through pretending. It doesn't happen through bypassing pain, not at all. It happens through knowing that much of that pain is caused by your inner critic self. And when you're aware of that, you can actually allow yourself to lean into the pain, to feel the pain, and let the pain show you what you've been merging with. Okay. So you stop asking, what do I need to fix when you're rooted in your authentic self? You start asking, who am I choosing to live from? My inner critic self or my authentic self? That's the pivot point. Okay. So if this video landed for you, I want you to know this is exactly what we do inside of the Mastering Your Mind community. Now, this community is for those of you who don't just want to understand these ideas intellectually, but you really want to embody them. Okay. Not just collecting concepts and ideas, but truly live it. Okay. So inside of this program, this is where you learn to deeply understand your inner critic self. You get to deeply understand the patterns and you neutralize the old identity and you design your life from your authentic self, slowly, naturally, without force. Okay. You stop organizing your life around fear and control. You begin living from trust and clarity. So that's the Mastering Your Mind community. If you are someone who feels a deeper calling, not just to transform your own life, but to guide others through this work, there is the Mind Method Coach Certification Program. And that is an ICF accredited training that integrates psychology and neuroscience and neuro-linguistic programming and internal family systems all inside of the Mind Method framework. So you don't just learn how to coach these distinctions, you embody them, you live them. You become the space from which transformation in others happens. Okay. Now, we all teach that which we most need to learn. So as you learn how to guide someone else out of their inner critic and into their authentic self, your own transformation deepens. So whether you feel called to embody this work in your own life or step into your role as an ICF certified coach and bring these distinctions into your coaching, this is the place for you. You will find the links below to connect with me, or you can go directly to masteringyourmind.com to book a time to connect with me and see which one of these programs aligns for you. If you are considering coaching, you can start by coming into the Mastering Your Mind community, and that will go towards your tuition if you decide you want to come into the certification program. Now, I just want to say one more thing about this. These are not open door programs. We must connect first. We have to make sure this is the right fit for you, no matter which program you decide is right for you. You've got to know that you're ready and that this work is truly aligned for you. So this is powerful identity shifting work. I'm very intentional about who comes into these spaces. So if this is something that you're thinking about, there's something in you that's pushing you towards saying this might be my next level, link below or go to masteringyourmind.com, book a time, and let's talk. Thank you for tuning in today, and I'll see you on the next episode.